everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Now, it's no secret that silver has had quite the tumultuous rollercoaster ride in terms of price over this last couple of weeks with the big global event that we can't name here on YouTube for demonetization reasons. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about this metal and why it's not necessarily as good as you might think. There are various different schools of thought on the topic and it's going to divide opinion, but I think it's fairly obvious from what we've seen over this last couple of weeks that silver really is the poor man's metal. It is not the metal of choice for that huge calamitous collapse protection. I am not arguing that at some point I think silver will go up, and that's one thing that I want to say. I do think silver prices will go back up again in time, but in that immediate emergency situation, as a preservation of wealth tool, it seemed like silver was a pretty useless asset to have, with huge 25-30% drops in prices, and that's not good compared with its yellow shiny cousin gold, which did not lose as much by any stretch. Now, I want to put my usual caveat and disclaimer in here saying that I am not a financial advisor. I am in no way qualified to give you financial advice. This video is meant for entertainment purposes, and I'm just sharing my thoughts and opinions on the subject of silver being not necessarily as good as we all perhaps hoped and thought it might be in a situation like this. So any financial decisions that you make are yours and yours alone. As well, in today's video, it's almost like a bit of a two-parter. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I've observed as to why perhaps silver crashed down as much as it did. Also, I want to address the other elephant in the room, which is about silver prices versus silver premiums, because there's a huge disparity now between silver price and the premiums that dealers are offering, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. That's a whole other topic in its own right, but I will touch on it in this video. But first up, let's talk about the first elephant in the room, which was that huge drop-off in prices. Now, it's no secret that the world's economy has been struggling over the last couple of weeks with everything that's been happening. Now, one would have thought that a safe haven asset like silver would have been a pretty good place to park your cash. And I would not have been surprised if there were a lot of people who, when this whole situation started evolving a couple of months ago, maybe thought, yes, it could actually end up being this bad, so let's put our money into silver. And that would have been quite the bad mistake with hindsight, because silver, as you all know, went down 25-30%, depending on your currency. It was a pretty tumultuous fall from grace, and there were a lot of people who were expecting the opposite. People were thinking, aha, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. In fact, I've had countless comments on my channel over this last 3 years of making videos saying that when the collapse happens, silver will shoot the moon and it'll go up and up and up. It will be the best thing that you ever had. This wasn't one of those situations, yet the economy around the world has essentially been shut down. So why has that happened? Why did silver drop so much? Well, I am no savant. I cannot tell you the exact reasons, but I can guess as to why, and that is partially due to the disparity between the paper and physical markets. Now, if you don't know what that means, if you're new to the world of silver and you don't know what paper silver is versus physical silver, this stuff in my hand here is physical silver. I have it in my possession. It's here. I can hold it, touch it, feel it, smell it, sell it if I want to somebody. Paper silver is just what it sounds like. It's paper. It's a promissory note, like a banknote. I've got a nice new plastic £20 note here. Paper silver is no better or worse than a pound note or a dollar. It really is just that. It is a promissory number on a screen that you have a certain amount of silver for a certain amount of price, and it is the primary marketplace for silver in terms of investing. More paper, I can't remember the ratio, but it's a huge ratio between paper silver and physical silver markets. And big investors, big hedge funds, big companies will have a large position in paper silver. When the brown stuff started to hit the fan with the various economies around the world starting to react badly to the situation we're all experiencing, basically people got a little bit spooked, started selling off their assets, started selling off their their positions on various different stocks and shares, but of course that meant that there were shortfalls in a lot of their portfolios. And one of the big things that was driving the drop in the silver prices there was margin calls. And if you don't know what a margin call it is, essentially when a big hedge fund or an investor is short on cash and they need to pay their creditors. And silver and gold are one of the two really good items to have in that situation. They are often the last asset which will drop in price dramatically, and really only when there's a massive run on those metals like we saw with silver. So the stocks and shares side of things would have gone down and down and down. These companies, these investment funds, these bankers would have started to panic somewhat and or needed cash, so they sell their silver positions, and that then triggers the rush on the silver price going down and down and down. Of course, that's all paper. None of it was physical. You didn't get these big hedge funds coming along with truckloads of tons and tons of silver. It just doesn't happen like that in the big world. But we, the physical investors, suffer from it slightly. And it's an oxymoron because we say we suffer from it, but a lot of us actually demand lower silver prices almost all the time because we like to buy our silver at cheap prices. Of course we do. Why wouldn't we? We are the physical asset holders. We're the ones that actually want to get our hands on physical silver. Now, paper silver is, by all accounts, an incredibly cheap way of investing in silver. But as I have always said on my channel, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And I think now is much more of an important time to hold and own something than it is to have numbers on a screen. And that's going to bring me on to my kind of secondary point, which is all about the sort of dealers and premiums and the supply of silver. And that's got something to do with where I think silver's going to potentially go to in the sort of coming months. It depends on this whole situation that we're all experiencing right now, where it's all going to end up in the future. Nobody really truly knows. But one thing that is for sure is that the world supply chains have been interrupted quite significantly, and that has caused a large number of producers, miners, mints all around the world to have issues and have to close down for health and safety of their workers, but also because they can't necessarily get the supply of the different metals. If they even can get the supplies of metals, there are various different insurance issues that dealers are struggling with at the moment to get silver out to customers. So there is this huge demand from the physical market, from us here on the silver community, YouTube, investment buyers, that we can't get our physical, but the paper buyers can still get paper as much as they like, as willy-nilly as possible. It is really easy to do. So that has a negative effect for us here in the physical world because we can't get hold of the silver physically because there are all of these supply chain issues, which means the dealers, this is another topic for an entire time, whether the dealers are deliberately taking advantage of us physical buyers is up in the air at the moment. I think there's definitely arguments for some dealers that are trying to profiteer from this, but I genuinely also think there are a lot of really kind of honest dealers out there that are genuinely struggling to sort out their supply chain and get everything from the mints, and even the mints themselves are, rocketing their prices, and the dealers just have to pass those on because there's just no point in selling at a loss, certainly at a major loss for a lot of these dealers. So there's an awful lot going on that side of things, and it's really unsure in the air. So you would think, and I'm going to bring this back to my point here about the price of silver, which is the ultimate main topic of this video. I think I will actually go on a whole other rant about premiums and things in another video probably coming out this weekend. So we'll leave that topic there. But in terms of how that all relates to price, you would have thought that the increased demand for this physical stuff would have fueled a price rise. It's a simple thing. If the demand goes up and the supply goes down, that means there are less pieces out there for people to buy, but there's loads of people wanting to buy them, so they're all competing against each other and the price goes up. But that hasn't happened. The actual price, the raw spot price of silver, is commanded by the paper market. It's manipulated by the paper market, if you want to say. There are a lot of people who think that manipulation is very rife, which it probably is to a certain extent, and I'm not going to disagree with that. I don't know quite how much conscious manipulation there is, but there will be certainly, the fact that silver prices are still relatively low compared with where they were a few months ago or even weeks ago is quite telling, I think, and the physical market here really does take up such a small part of it. So a lot of you out there might be really, really frustrated that the physical demand that you're experiencing from your own stack and from what you're seeing on YouTube and various other news outlets and bullion dealers saying that demand's never been higher, and they can't supply, so why aren't silver prices going up? It's just one of those oxymorons that the supply chain really is commanded by the paper market. The price chain is commanded by the paper market, and the supply chain affects the premiums that we have to deal with here in the physical world, which is, of course, the real bugbear at the moment, because people can't just get hold of silver at this price. And there have been price points like this over the last 3, 4, 5 years, and we've been able to get supply quite happily. But the big situation that's happening at the moment really is having a big effect on just generally where things are with prices. So lots of issues at the moment, and that's my kind of take and thought on them. There are of course, other faceted reasons why silver prices have gone down. But one thing is certain: the price ratio, the gold-silver ratio, has gone sky high. It's like 120 to 1, I think, at the moment, time of filming. That could probably change. 117 to 1 at the time of filming. So, there's a lot of evidence to say that silver is the metal to buy right now, but with the huge premiums that are out there for silver, that even now, I mean, if you're in America, welcome to our world. Welcome to the world of British silver, because when we buy silver from dealers in the UK, we pay VAT, we pay taxes here in the EU, and it works out something like, on average, for a UK piece of silver, about 45 to 50% over spot price. And you guys are experiencing that now, because the dealers are hiking up their prices, because they're either passing on the prices from the mints, or they are having to charge that because, well, they're not having to charge that, they're charging that because they're price gouging. One of the two. Whether or not either is true or not, we'll talk about in another video. But welcome to our world. High premium silver, it's a real risk. It is a real risk, because the premiums will come down over time. When the price of silver stabilizes, it's always kind of relatively stable, in the sense that there's always a kind of hard low, which it just would never go underneath, and there's potentially hard highs at the moment, which it won't go over. But when that kind of stabilizes, and when the whole world situation that we're experiencing stabilizes and the economies get up and running again, premiums will come down, which will mean if you've bought your American Silver Eagles, or if you've bought your Britannias at $25, $30 an ounce, they will not be worth $25, $30 an ounce. You will not get those premiums back. So buying silver right now, not a good idea, in my opinion. However, it is very attractive to do so if you can buy silver at low premiums. I am trying to myself. It's really hard to get hold of at any kind of low premium, but there are the occasional deal that come up on forums and various other places. So keep your watchful eye out, is what I say. But otherwise, I'm going to finish with a point which I've talked about so many times before. This stuff, not so good. This stuff really is not. People thought it would be, and it's not. And I don't like saying kind of "I told you so," but the long-term liquidity and security of the yellow stuff, gold, is much more attractive than this stuff. And for me, in the Backyard Bullion household and Mrs. Backyard Bullion, gold has been the shining star of this whole last couple of weeks. And even at these prices of in the UK, £1,300 an ounce, $1,600 an ounce, versus what silver is at the moment in terms of premium, gold just seems much more attractive. And that is, I think, what the market is having a sentiment with as well, in the grand scheme of things. I say the market, the economy, big investors holding on to their gold, people buying gold because they want that physical asset, which they know is going to be time and time again that safe haven. It really is that safe haven, and that is the key kind of point to hammer home here, that this stuff seems great on, I say on paper, it seems great in theory, and everybody says it's going to be great in theory, but we've seen it go through possibly one of the biggest economic calamities of the century. There were times when there were losses greater than 1929 depression, and that is, saying something in its own right. So there's a lot of evidence to say that this stuff is not going to save you in that brown stuff hitting the fan situation. What I think it is going to be good for, and this is how I'm going to finish today's video, I do think there is scope for this stuff to improve and increase in value. That ratio, that gold-silver ratio being what it is right now, I do think there's a correction that will come in terms of the silver price rather than the gold price dropping. I cannot see in the next 6 to 12 months gold prices really catastrophically dropping down, but I can see silver prices creeping up, moving up, which is potentially a good thing. But that compounded with the huge issues we have on supply and premiums will not necessarily yield a lot of great opportunities for people out there. So my message to finish today's video is be very wary of this lovely silver shiny metal. It is basically potentially a liability coming forward into the rest of the year. And yellow gold, any kind of gold is, in my opinion, the safer option. Now remember, all of my thoughts and opinions here today are just that, thoughts and opinions. They're not financial advice. Any financial decisions you make having watched this video are yours and yours and yours and yours alone. I would love to know your opinions as well. This is one of the reasons I make these thought-provoking videos, so please do feel free to comment down below with your thoughts and opinions on this subject. All I ask is that you be respectful of mine and other people's opinions. If you're just going to be belligerent and a troll, then you're going to get blocked and banned from my channel. Otherwise, we will see you down in the comment section for a healthy, fun, adult debate on this subject of silver not being quite as good as we thought it was. That's it otherwise from me. If you'd like to see videos from us in the future, then please do feel free to hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And if you want to get a notification when these videos go live, then please do hit that alarm bell. Otherwise, a thumbs up on this video really does help everything that we do here on the channel. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you all for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe. And also, like I want to do in all my videos now, finish up with a big shout out to all healthcare workers out there in this big wide world. You guys are doing a wonderful job, a saintly job for us. Thank you so much. Keep safe all, and we'll see you on the next one. Make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.